we are here again, day 5 in the month of September, 5 out of 21 days. I must say we are still off to a great start, being very consistent, very persistent on what needs to get done. Allow these noise of planes to go by. I still want to say my message. So yeah, that's out of my control, right? So with today's workout, we're going to do the same exact thing what we did in day 3, day 4, and also day 5. The goal here is to be able to put more energy, shorter breaks into the workout, all right? For some reason, when I looked in the mirror today, no shirt off, when I looked in the mirror, all I could do was just smile. All right, so there's definitely some results in the abdominal area, the shoulders, and the traps area. Well, shoulders and traps, same thing, right? So it's just a good feeling just to look in the mirror, feel the confidence, you know, give self compliments to myself, etc. All right, now, not so that I'm being biased just for me, the same could also be done for you in working out. All right, so even if you are not doing the exercise fully, but you're doing just enough, that just enough is going to help you prepare for tomorrow and then the next day. It's 21 days. You take a break for 9 days if it's 30 days in a month, and you can take a break for 10 days if it's 31 days in that month. That was the real goal behind this 21-day fasting on a monthly situation. But not all months were very successful. So there was no need for me to say, well, okay, this month we're going to do 10 days and I'm going to make this my best 10 days. Each month I was pushing for the 21 days, and the days that were not successful, I could only blame myself. I could only appreciate the imperfection of myself because I'm not perfect. And I could just appreciate the journey, all right? So I also show love on my shortcomings, as they will say, right? Now, I want to give a brief note on today's exercise that we're going to keep the numbers the same. I wanted to increase the numbers, but there was no need. If the results is already there, just keep it the same, right? So today's exercise, well, before I get into it, we are still listening to Joseph Rodrigues, Make Fear Your Friend, okay? Which is pertaining to the books he's mentioning. He's pulling the information from, which is the 50th Law and including the Kybalion, okay? These two books I have not read. So this YouTuber, Joseph Rodrigues, is going to be, you know, putting his inputs on information that's being pulled from there, okay? And that's Make Fear Your Friend. I could definitely relate to this message starting on my journey of last year, late summer. All the things I was journaling, all the things I really wanted to do, what was really stopping me was fear, overthinking, and doubt. Yeah, and even when I was progressing, there was still more doubt. So the results is that I am a person, a human being that is making conscious decisions based on logic and being intuitive. So that's a little secret sauce. If you catch on to it, that's good. If not, no worries. But in my time of day right now, I'm being knowledgeable on the logic choices I'm making, and the intuitive, the creativity choices I'm making, and just really be able to combine them together so I could be able to say, hey, these are the facts and these are the creativity of the results. Just really combine them together, okay? So we want to, after, yeah, so I don't know what the GoPro picked up, but I still want to record GoPro, okay? So as we continuing is that after the Joseph Rodrigues, or listen to Joseph Rodrigues, the exercise is the 30-second stretch. Feel free to add your stretch in. The 1-minute jump rope, right? The 20 leg single legs, so that's 20 on each side, that's 40 in total. 20 push-ups, 20 diamond push-ups, 20 wide push-ups, right? And then we have the 50 leg raises, the 50 in and out, laying down, the 2 sets of 30 seconds side planks, right? On the left side and the right side, 2 sets of 30 seconds. The bird dog, which I showed more detail on day 3, on how to do the bird dog. If you're not familiar with it, check out Squat University. Check out their YouTube videos where it's mentioned about the core abs, the 3 core abs. That's where I got the exercise from. If you're still not familiar with the exercise, just substitute that exercise for something else. The main focus is the abdominal area. Okay? So 6 bird dog. I'm holding for 10 seconds, and I'm bringing the fist to the knee, and then back again for another set of 10 seconds. All right? 2-minute jump rope. 5 rip right, which I think I want to increase it to 6 now. So the rip right, I'm gonna increase it to 6. All right. So today's our day 5. So we got one more day, which is tomorrow, on this set of exercises, and then day 7 is going to be something very light, and then I'm gonna create another different type of workouts. Okay, and possibly listening to Immortal Minds on the audio, on the background audio. Listen to Immortal Minds. That's another YouTube channel that brother really doesn't talk on surface level things. He really go deeper in thoughts and things like that. So that's coming up next. Well, in the next few days. Let's get started. Enough of my intro chit chats. Something I've always been saying. So make fear your friend. Joseph Rodrigues. Let's get started.
Today, upon reflection of 2 books, The 50th Law by 50 Cent and Robert Greene, alongside The Kybalion, we discuss fluidity of mind, which upon development of this mental art reveals the ability for us to depolarize ourselves in relation to inner programming and recalibrate ourselves back to our goals, our visions, and our definite chief aims. Now, this is initiated, as we have discussed, by committing in imagination to our great work, or definite chief aim, or what we truly love, and from there allowing the power of our subconscious mind to do the rest, or we could say express accordingly. The key is in allowing it to be, allowing it to authentically express. Now, if a challenge is experienced, one of fear, let's say, no need to shame ourselves, overthink, or condemn. What we want to do is simply focus on perhaps nuanced perspectives, different ways of looking at our experience, whatever it may be, to stimulate us back into the state of mind, reveal the programming within that we're identifying with, to make peace with, so that it no longer shows up, or to the degree in which it showed up, which is revealed by reactivity, and instead turn that into proactivity. Now, as we've discussed, from many different perspectives, we have the power to select mental states or attitudes of mind stimulated by intuition, and to think feelingly into those states of mind, as discussed in Sunday's video, via the coherent inward relationship between the allegorical red king and white queen in mental alchemy. And they together reveal the true and authentic reality from a place of love. So thus is alchemy, mental alchemy. And so the book states, many of us respond to the shifting circumstances of life by trying to micromanage everything in our immediate environment. When something unexpected happens, we become rigid, and we respond by employing some tactic that worked in the past. If events change quickly, we are easily overwhelmed and lose control. Those who follow the 50th law are not afraid of change or chaos. They simply embrace it by being as fluid as possible. They move with the flow of events and gently channel them in the direction of their choice. Through their mindset, they convert a negative, or we could say unexpected event, into a positive, or we could say opportunity, the 50th law. So, the book essentially is about transmuting fear into courage. Now, I'm actually going to recommend listening to the audiobook version of the 50th Law, narrated by Robert Greene and 50 Cent. And so the book is about mental alchemy, the transmutation specifically, fear into courage. Now, he goes on to say, there's one thing we can actually control, and that is the mindset with which we respond to these events around us. And if we are able to overcome our anxieties and forge a fearless attitude towards life, something strange and remarkable can occur. That margin of control over circumstances increases. At its utmost point, we can even create the circumstances themselves, which is the source of the tremendous power that fearless types have had throughout history. And the people who practice the 50th Law in their lives all share certain qualities: supreme boldness, unconventionality, fluidity, and a sense of urgency that give them this unique ability to shape circumstances. I recommend picking a goal or vision or a definite chief aim, one that challenges you and perhaps even stimulates fear, that you might consider that goal or vision to be, let's say, impossible. As we've been realizing, we have the ability to convert impossibility-based thinking into possibility-based thinking as far as that reality goes, being fact in mind. So, transmutation, it's one of my favorite words. I've done a discussion recently on some points in regards to transmutation, and I want to discuss it more so in the upcoming videos. Today we speak of transmutation in regards to fear and transmuting fear into courage. We're also going to go through the 7 stages of spiritual alchemy, and we're going to relate it to some elements from the Kybalion. Now, transmutation is a term usually employed to designate the ancient art of the transmutation of metals, particularly of the base metals into gold. The word transmute means to change from one nature, form, or substance into another, to transform. And accordingly, mental transmutation means the art of changing and transforming mental states, forms, and conditions into others. So you may see that mental transmutation is the art of mental chemistry. If you like the term, a form of practical mystic psychology. Now let's take a scenario, one that is probably common for many entrepreneurs on the journey to realizing their goals and their visions. A person has a product or service that they've created. They've brought forth some innovation, and they want to turn this into a business. Or if they're existing entrepreneurs and they have existing products or services, perhaps they've discovered new innovative products or services in which they want to have those products or services reaching the marketplace, acquiring clients. So a person has a rough idea. When we commit to a vision, we mention this. Ideas, hunches, and inspirations show up. They perhaps define a rough criteria as to who their prospects are. From there, they find out where their prospects are. Maybe online, maybe offline, maybe in certain communities, maybe in certain groups, meetups, events, etc. The next step is to start the conversation with them and then build a relationship with them and then make an offer, provided it's a match, for their product or service. And then continue to build an ongoing long-term relationship with them, which could lead into different directions, such as possible products or services being offered to them as a result of that initial relationship. So we see this with 50 Cent. And so today, synchronistically so, I never really hear 50 Cent's music at the gym, but when I went downstairs, I heard Hate It or Love It for the first time in I don't know how many years. So I knew then this was the video that I wanted to do. I was pondering making this video last week. And then when I saw that synchronicity, I knew I had to discuss it. So he starts off with music, and then he moves into different markets, different market segments. He has built brand loyalty. He has built a relationship with many individuals, not just his fans, those that bought his product or services, but many different business relationships, which were discussed in the book. Now, if we look at each of these steps here, we realize that if a person has not overcome certain fears, they might find these areas to be extremely challenging, such as a person may define who their prospects are, and they may even know where their prospects reside. But starting that initial conversation with them seems fearful, seems stressful. Now, one of my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs is, "Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you want to become." So a person knows what they want to do. They want to move forward with these initiatives, but for whatever the reason, they're having fear brought up in relation to starting the conversation, building the relationship, making an offer, building a long-term relationship. Now, what's discussed in this book is the opportunity to reconcile within ourselves. And in regards to mental transmutation, they have the opportunity to make peace with the fear that they are experiencing in regards to these areas by finding the true and accurate thinking in relation to those interpretations that they have, which seems to throttle their creativity, hold them back. We want to recognize that it is our own thinking patterns that we're identifying with in mind that's holding us back. And one of the ways to actually overcome this is to psychologically surrender into that direction as an expression of your mental state, which is subconsciously one with the vision. Another way to overcome it is to understand within yourself what subconscious thinking patterns are being brought to the surface in relation to these particular areas, and do the subconscious mind work to make peace with them. I recommend The Power of Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. We have the ability to go into our subconscious mind and discover these beliefs, interpretations that we have, understand them, and make peace with them. As a person makes peace with them, what they'll notice is that they will find that they will actually have fun doing it. Because let's look at this for a moment. They committed to that vision. They know these steps. However, they have internal resistance in regards to these steps. There seems to be a disconnect or an inharmonious relationship between the heart, the mind, and the will, and we want it expressing automatically. And if for whatever the reason may be, on the journey to realizing our visions, we experience in relation to the different aspects of the journey, reactivity, or convoluted behaviors. Remember, behaviors And everything we do is an expression of mind. It's what's going on inside the person's mind. That stated, they have the opportunity then, rather than running away from that fear, allowing themselves to understand what's going on inside of them and make peace with those areas, such has been the case with my experience. As I noticed that in each one of these areas, I had areas within myself that I had not reconciled. I had not made peace with certain thinking patterns, such as, for example, I was afraid to initiate the conversations in the earlier stages. I had inaccurate thinking patterns in regards to relationships. I was afraid to make the offer, to offer the product or service. I realized that all of those were opportunities for transmutation. I even say now that I actually wake up each day to transmute, to turn what appears as fear-based energy into a creative expression from my vision by transmuting it over to courage. Just by the transmutation of that energy in regards to what a person is polarizing to, which is their interpretations in regards to these areas here. Just by changing, or we could say making peace within themselves, the inward peace, the inward relationship in regards to these areas, they not only find themselves automatically doing these things, which is what they genuinely want to do, they actually enjoy the experience. They actually, as Steve Jobs mentioned, reveal the courage that they have inherent within them via the reconciliation. By looking at their experiences, the day-to-day experiences, and say, the emotional reactivity is a messenger. Fear is a messenger. It's telling me what I'm identifying with in relation to these aspects of the journey. And I have the ability to question. I can ask the question, is this really true? Is it really valid in relation to my goals and visions? To fear in regards to these things? Well, they will actually be able to go through with it and achieve the success. They will also have made peace with certain aspects within themselves. And as I had discussed in the Sunday's video, they would understand to a higher degree that allegorical marriage that we spoke of the internal red king and the white queen, thinking feelingly. So feeling guides us. So when Steve Jobs said, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition, they somehow already know what you want to become. Perhaps your heart and intuition is inspiring you in a certain direction, but yet there's programming in the mind that seems to create internal resistance. Could be starting the business, could be pursuing the career of your dreams, it could be changing your lifestyle around. It could be doing some of the things, as I had mentioned earlier. Through the reconciliation, we actually enjoy doing these things, such has been the case with myself and many that I've worked with all throughout the journey, which allows them to transmute that fear into courage. So when he said, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition, they somehow already know what you want to become. We could say, we would want to live courageously. Now, let's look at some of the important aspects from Kybalion to help us understand why a person would perhaps not allow themselves to go down the direction in which they commit to and see into completion. A person of congruence, of heart, mind, and will. Remember, body is an expression of mind. If we see incongruence, no need to shame or condemn ourselves. We allow ourselves to understand ourselves. As mentioned, two ways of doing things, or a combination. You overcome the fear. I noticed this when I would teach these public speaking workshops that I took on as a side deal with Iris Reading in 2010. I would have anxiety going up to the workshop day. The workshop day would be Saturday or Sunday. We'd do them sometimes Saturday and Sunday. And Tuesday, Wednesday, the anxiety would build up. Now, I would do it anyways because I know that the cave that I fear to enter can hold the treasure that I seek. That the opportunity presented itself to practice revealing the courage within myself. And also I noticed that another thing that was very helpful for me in the journey is to ask myself the question, what am I afraid of in regards to doing the event? And as I would uncover these thinking patterns, I would say, is that really true? Where did I learn this from? One does not even have to ask where they learn it from. They simply find different perspectives. You can find it within yourself, or you have conversations with others who have done it. I knew others and Paul was one of them. He's the founder of Iris Reading. He went through the same kind of stuff, and we had conversations about it, and he helped me see things from a different perspective. And so what ended up happening is I let go of mental rigidity. I let go of the bias of whatever interpretation that I was identifying with, or more specifically, polarized to, as discussed in the Kybalion. But before we get into that, let's recognize that everything has poles. Everything has its pair of seeming opposites, and like and unlike are actually the same thing. Just as opposites are identical in nature but different in degree, and through experiential understanding, all paradoxes may be reconciled. So experiential understanding, we allow ourselves to go through the experiences. By going through the experiences, we become who we are really destined to be. Yes, as a person continues this journey, making peace with the fear so that they can do the thing that they truly want to do, then they'll find that this will become an automatic way of life. They'll automatically follow their heart and intuition. And in alchemy, this is known as a successful relationship between the red king and the white queen, thinking feelingly. I feel like doing it. I intuitively want to do it. My heart and my intuition are inspiring me to do it. So we think about some ideas. Okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. And then we go do it. Heart, mind, and will. So here are 4 elements we want to keep into consideration. Number 1, we want to practice letting go of mental rigidity. Now in the Kybalion, it states, the old paradoxes, which have ever perplexed the mind, are explained by an understanding of this principle. Everything is and isn't at the same time. The Hermetic teachings are to the effect that the difference between things seemingly diametrically opposed to each other is merely a matter of degree. So we could say fear and courage are actually one. And we are polarizing to a degree in between somewhere. And what we find is what we're polarizing to is a thinking pattern, a perspective in relation to, if we go back to the example that I mentioned earlier, thinking pattern in relation to initiating the conversation. They might think the prospect will reject me, not accept me. It would mean that I'm not good enough. So we question it. We say, is this really true? What is the meaning of rejection? We talked about this, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Other than optimization data, how to optimize your product or service, your messaging, how to position yourself, etc. It could also mean that they'll eventually do the deal later on. Or it could mean that they could refer you to someone since they had such a pleasant interaction with you. Even though they weren't interested in your product or service, they were happy to make a referral for somebody else because they know that you're going to treat that person well. I would say that that's how it really is from the perspective of love. When a person makes peace with this kind of thinking pattern, then they go and initiate the conversation. It's easier for them to do it. So they have essentially let go of mental rigidity, which was biasing over to a certain degree of fear, representing itself in a thinking pattern. And then they neutralize it, they depolarize themselves from that thinking pattern, which then transmutes the energy from fear into courage. And then their reality changes, the experience changes. Number 2, the inward reconciliation. So in the Kybalion, it teaches that the pairs of opposites may be reconciled, and that thesis and antithesis are identical in nature, but different in degree, and that the universal reconciliation of opposites is affected by a recognition of this principle of polarity. So what are we polarizing to? It's our thinking patterns in relation to what we commit to do in relation to how we imagine it was going to play out. And so we ask the question, how do we truly want it to play out? And we imagine it to be in the ideal way, thus entering into that state of mind and playing out accordingly. If a person has challenges and they seem so resistant into recognizing that that's the way it actually is, the reality of their imagination of success playing out as theater, then they want to find within themselves, what are they polarizing to in regards to a thinking pattern related to a five-sensory experience, such as the other person, the environment, the circumstance, etc. This is the journey of the spiritual alchemy process. Now, there's many ways of going about doing it. I'm sharing with you my own reference experience as a result of working with this all throughout the years and how I go about doing it. And I trust you found this to be helpful and relatable on your journey in some shape or form. Number 3, transmute through understanding. And so they say in regards to reconciliation, here's another way of looking at it. They begin by showing that spirit and matter are but the two poles of the same thing.
I would say tonight was slightly imperfection, but I was able to get through. On the bird dog, for some reason holding my right leg up and my left arm up, that core was getting to me today. So you might have seen me stop short, switch to the other side, complete the other side, up to a minute, and then went back to the right leg up, left arm up. I'm very thankful for these exercises to be intense. To me, it's intense. If I'm sweating like this, it's definitely intense. Where I am taking my time, I am getting through the exercise, but I don't feel like I'm trying to beat a time, and once again, not trying to pull a muscle. So each rep must have its what's the word I'm looking for? Form, and the intentions to complete the exercise. All right. I just want to send out, thoughts and prayers to the crisis in Mississippi, regards to like the water shortage over there. Just trying to raise awareness to that. I wanted to mention on the other video, but I think I forgot, which is okay. I want to acknowledge myself. I'm thinking before I speak here, but just say it for what it is, that I'm finally in the season I could talk up confidently and be accountable of social society, of what is considered cheating or what is considered a cheating man and things like that. Being accountable on myself, to be honest with myself first of all. Once I am fulfilled of being honest with myself, I could be outspoken to others, and pretty much help myself prevent situations of getting into a serious relationship with someone. And this is just overall past relationships. It's just not specific to one person. But for me to take accountability that I was a cheater, or take accountability now, I am a cheater. However the wording is said, it is past tense, something that I have repent to change away from. I'm a firm believer, this is towards all men, and don't have to describe what a man is, or men are. You know who you are out there. I think the future is coming to a point where men have the opportunity to be accountable, be able to promote their growth in their own form, even if it's comedy, even if comedy, sense of humor, politics, helping the community, raise awareness. You know, men are finding their ground of where they could be placed in society, right? And with that, for all men, including same sex, I'm including everybody. There's no reason to have someone out. If you, all men, if you like same sex, all that stuff, all right? It's an opportunity to be honest with yourself of who you are in your principle and morals. All right, this is not coming from a book or chapter or law. It's just your principles and morals. That if good things are happening, you'll continue doing good things. Now, if bad things are happening, people are yelling at you, there's unnecessary arguments, you're being provoked, it's probably something you may have to change around you. Just throwing it out there, whatever that means, right? So the future of men is that, from what I'm understanding, is that if men could go overseas, become soldiers, you know, be able to know the mission of what needs to get done, men. All right, so how to switch out batteries, the camera definitely was too hot. How to switch out the battery. So continuing, like I said, all men. All right, I'm not counting out anybody here, okay? Even if you have a bad rap sheet, been to jail several times, I think there's an opportunity to change. You know, if you're going through mental health, you know, feel free to say to someone, I need help. And also be able to ask for the help and not be manipulative on the help, just actually receive the help to better your situation. So I'm calling out all men to be responsible, accountable, and what's best for you first. Be honest with yourself first. If you feel that people have expressed to you that you've been a liar, you know, probably dig deep why you've been a liar and things like that. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to point, I don't know, I'm not directing this video to anyone specific. I'm just saying that in my years of silence, I think as a man, I really didn't know how to speak up confidently, honestly, truthfully. Not everyone needs to know my truth, but at the end of the day, I could be able to deliver in areas, in speaking up of things that I know upon experience. And if I don't know, I can honestly say, you know what? I may not be able to answer this question right now. Let me get back to you, you know? Or I could honestly just say, hey, I don't know, but with a little bit more research, or I could find out a little bit more on the information, let me get back to you on that, and honestly get back to the person, and you know, whatever, you know, on that. So my way of being accountability to myself and to society of public that I am, however you want to say, a cheater, where I was in relationships with someone, a serious relationship, and you know, I am entertaining other women sexually, you know, which I was selfish. I could be accountable and be responsible that I was selfish. And actually just speak up on it. It does, it's weird, but it's the truth that in finding truth and knowing myself, the person I was dating may feel like it's them, what they did wrong. But honestly, it's like, I don't think it's nothing they did wrong. It's what I did wrong within myself, that I did not face either the consequences. I did face the consequences, the pain of it, but I didn't bring it to reality, and then I think one point in my life, I brought it to reality. It's like, you know what, this has to come to a close, end chapter. So tonight is different. What sparked the idea to share this tonight? I just chose to. Okay, it's the last month until break time. We exercise already, and I felt the need to share on ways to be accountable with myself and society around me. If I choose to go deeper in conversation about it and link some of my experiences and choices and how I felt in moments, then I'll do that, so on. But I think just to be able to bring it to the forefront, and then once I bring it to the forefront, discuss it if necessary, and move forward in abundance on what in any other God's plan God has for me, I should say. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave on that note. And just take it from there. Really, I don't want to overthink. I just wanted to share that. So you guys, thank you for watching. We're going to continue on day 6. I'm going to be very affirmative on the 21 days in this month exercising. I don't care if I have to work out for like 10 minutes. I am pushing through with this 21-day fasting exercise. Ending on a good note. We have 2 more days with Joseph Rodrigues. I hope you like the content of what Joseph Rodrigues is mentioning in the videos. And we're going to move on to Immortal Minds. Okay? So with that being said, I'm at peace. Tomorrow's going to be a peaceful day. And you guys take care until next time. All right? Peace.